Good to have you back. You're watching Newsday. The debt-based economy has been said to be a perennial problem in Nigeria and Africa, stifling economic growth and perpetuating poverty. The continent's reliance on debt financing has created a vicious cycle of borrowing, servicing, and re-borrowing, which has hindered sustainable development. To break this cycle, it is essential to explore alternative financing models and implement policies that promote economic self-sufficiency. One of the primary reasons for Africa's debt crisis, analysts say, is the lack of economic diversification, as many countries rely heavily on a single commodity export, making them vulnerable to fluctuations in global prices. To speak to this, we now turn to Godwin Shonekan, Chairman of GBS, Alliance for Africa Economic Development Initiative. Good afternoon, sir. It's good to have you with us. All right, sir. Good. So talking about the alternatives here, and we already know the impact this has had over time when it comes to the issue of debt in Nigeria. So the country and a regulated market economy, what are the benefits here? Are we even in the threshold of a regulated economy currently? I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yes. Actually, there's nothing regulated in the economic system in this country compared to United States of America. That's where I have spent the last of my 54 years. They have a system that's perfectly structured. And I'm very fortunate to have been doing a research for the past 44 years on how we can apply the same thing in this continent. Not just to talk about Nigeria alone, but to talk about the entire continent. Because if things get better in Nigeria, there will be influx and exodus of people moving into Nigeria. So we have to think, globally, generally for the African community. And the opportunity that we have is so unique that I have copyright on the rules and regulations that govern the capital market system in the United States. So we have a lock, stock, and barrel that we can use it in Africa without any hindrance or any holdback. It's just unfortunate that the way things work in the United States is not the same way that it works in this country. I will just walk over to the government in the United States, book an appointment, and see whoever I need to see. I've done that several times. I sat down with the State Department for 3.5 hours, which is not common. They said they don't give more than 15 minutes or 30 minutes to foreign leaders. But they gave me 3.5 hours. Well, first, because I'm an American, that's one. And I have an opportunity that will open the door, not just for Nigeria alone, but for the United States as well. But unfortunately, it is not that easy. The people around the presidency, because a lot of people are blaming the president for not doing anything. But how much can he do? Even if it's another party that is there today, how much can they do? Am I going to have the same problem that I'm having not seeing the president if there's another political party? Yes, I will. But that's the reason why I took to the system, as it is in the United States. People don't understand what the media means. The media houses means in this part of the world. You see, the media houses in the United States, they shape the system, they shape the economy, they shape the society. So if the ministers are not listening to what I'm saying, or the government is not listening to what I'm saying, if I keep coming to the press, so one day somebody will wake up, why is this man coming to the press all the time? What does he have? That's what I'm looking for. You see, there's a looming crisis over this country, over the way the situation is now. And they don't need to protest. We don't need protesting. I know there is problem in the country. I experienced it on our way coming. We queued at the petrol station, and they're selling at 800 plus. Other places are selling at 1,000 naira per liter. That's reason to be agitated. But if there is a solution, why do we need to agitate? That is the reason why I'm saying the president has to listen to what we are saying, that we have an offer. I'm not asking for political appointment. I'm not interested. I already have a daytime job. You can see by my regalia that I'm not even interested in becoming a minister. But I worked for 44 years, putting a package together that will bail Africa out of economic mess, that we can become economically self-sufficient, just like the United States is. China tapped into the system after 1929, the collapse of the economy. They tapped into the system. They found out exactly what America did to survive economically. They have economic stimulus package, economic stimulus system. America doesn't borrow money from anyone. They don't borrow money. China doesn't borrow money from anyone.
But if I may comment, sir,
yes.
These have been problems that are recurring over time. And then sometimes you can't help but think it even makes a mockery of the so-called economic plans we've had in the past. How dedicated are we to setting, okay, fine, you have a document that will, pave the way for the so-called development you're yearning for. But at the end of the day, you don't hear much about it. There's no talk about it. So another new government comes in, they have their own economic blueprint. And then we keep going back to the same cycle of...
That's the reason why we are pleading to them, for the sake of the masses. One government comes, another government comes, another government goes, and that's the end of it. And we're not getting any, we are not moving forward. You see, that's the reason. We have everything. When I say we have it lock, stock, and barrel, I know exactly what I'm talking about. You see, right here in front of me, this is the bill that is going to be passed in the House. It's already being done. We hired, in the United States, we had legislative attorneys. And I walked through the University of North Florida and Florida Coastal School of Law, a postgraduate law school, to prepare the bill. Because first, what we are bringing in is not common to Nigerians. It's not common to anyone in Africa. They haven't done it before. We are not taught this in the school. No matter what kind of university you go, they're not going to tell you about,
Okay, let me come in here because I know you've been talking about the American system,
yes.
which of course the Nigerian government from time past have said that we are building an economy that is, following the prototype of the American economy. But we don't seem to be getting the same results when it comes to, following the processes. I'd like to know what exactly are the challenges, because looking at all of the statistics out there, debt servicing is taking a huge chunk of our budget.
Yes.
And we keep seeing this recurring every year, year in, year out. For instance, in the first quarter of this year, we've seen about $1.12 billion by the end of the first quarter of 2024. That's the, debt service amounting to that figure. And also, the local currency weakening against the dollar. And so it's looking like all of these issues are intertwined. Why are we not getting the same result if we are following that system of, operating the economy?
We are not following the same system. We are not following the same system.
But we claim to be building the prototype.
That's the reason why some people are not listening to us. Because when you prove them wrong, then you become an enemy. But that's not what's going to solve our problem. Let's go to the facts. Let's get ourselves out of the bondage of the colonial masters. I say I am an American citizen. I have the same right like any other American, no matter what color. Could be black, could be white, could be anything. So, but I have the privilege of getting to the crop. Some people find the golden egg, but I found the goose that laid the golden egg. So, how could you expect someone to tell you how to compete with them? You're not going to give them the key. You're not going to give them the... that's the reason why we're not learning the proper economics in the university. They're not going to teach us how they managed to get to where they are. But if you can snoop, dig into, and find the solution, say, well, this is how you're using Fancida to cure a certain disease, but you're telling me to use aspirin to cure that same disease. It's not going to work.
Yes, I'll just... Okay, sorry.
Some specifics here I just want us to look at. So let's talk about Nigeria's benefit from fractional reserve banking and stimulus economic system. That's part of some options here, you think? I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I will explain how the...
because of time,
yes,
if you can.
Yes, I will explain how the fractional banking system works. Okay, you deposit $10,000. Let's use Naira. You deposit 10,000 Naira into the bank, your personal money. You open up an account. You put $10,000 in the bank. The bank has a right to retain a certain amount. Like in the United States, it's 10%. Let's say it's 10,000 Naira. So the bank would take 1,000 Naira, set it aside. That's going to stay in the reserve.
All right.
Then he will lend 9,000 naira to somebody who wants to buy a car. That your 10,000 naira, 9,000 is already gone out. So the person who's selling the car to you is now banking with the same central bank. He will go to another bank, deposit that 9,000 naira. That 9,000 naira becomes a new deposit. And that's from your money, that's from your 10,000 naira. But it becomes a new deposit from another person that sold the car to you. They will take another 900 naira out of that 9,000 naira. So that was set aside to stay in the reserve system. That's what they call the fractional banking system. So that 9,000 go back to another as a deposit. They will take the 9,000 less than 900 naira, give it to another person that need a loan. But you see, because we don't use that kind of system, they don't have a car loan, they don't have any mortgage system, so the bank has no reason to even lend anybody any money. So if I go to the bank with a good, nice business, and I want them to lend me money, before I leave the bank manager is already calling his nephew. Can you do this same thing that this man just brought to us?
So there's fluidity in the financial
fractional
system,
yes,
as it were. Okay.
And that feeds the public. It trickles down to the public. We don't have that. Even if we try to have that, as you said, ma'am, if we try that, it will result into the same situation that we had before, because we don't have anything that backs it up. We don't have the rules and regulation. Besides what I have here, I have 17 rules and regulations that govern the U.S. capital market system. Those rules and regulations, the Americans will not share with anyone. But they can't stop me, because when I have those rules compiled, I went to the Library of Congress and I seek a copyright from the U.S. Congress, Library of Congress, and they granted it. And that is a very interesting story, because what happened was, when I applied for it, I told my lawyer, I said, I'm applying for copyright on those rules and regulations. He said, those are congressional rules and regulations in the United States. You cannot have copyright on it. I said, let me tell you one thing. I came to America to learn how to fish. Now I have learned enough about how to fish. I bought my fishing rod and the lines, and I have the baits. I'm going fishing. Just as simple as that.
All right, I have to end the conversation here, because a lot of questions are coming into my head. For instance, are these rules novel to the government of today? We've had experts in our financial, fiscal and monetary authorities governing and ruling that space. So I'm wondering if all of those rules or some of them are novel to them. But we have to end the conversation here. Thank you so much, Godwin Bola Shonekan, Chairman of GBS Alliance for Africa Economic Development Initiative. We'll probably have another time to discuss further.
Definitely.